Hello, this is Valerie Luhman with the Grass-Fed Cattle Company. I am so excited to be here with you today and share a bit more about developing your farm's brand. This is my husband Jared and I, and we farm with his dad, John, in southeastern Minnesota, a little town called Goodhue. And we both grew up on farms, so pretty used to that. But we just bought the Grass-Fed Cattle Company about a year and a half ago and started direct marketing primarily to customers in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So we're a little new to this. So if you're like us, it's been a bit of an adventure, but a very fun one. So I'm really excited to share a little bit more about our experience and what I've learned along the way. Like I said, we both grew up on farms, and on our farm now we raise grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and some organic crops that we're kind of phasing out of at the moment. And then we work with a couple other farmers as well for a business, the Grass-Fed Cattle Company, which another couple owned for about 8 years prior to us owning it. And since then, we've kind of changed and developed as our customers asked us to add more products, to do different things. So some of those look like adding pastured chickens pretty quickly after we purchased the business from them. We also started to, look into offering lamb, which we're hoping to do this year, and starting to do deliveries in the Twin Cities for a bit of an extra charge for our customers who wanted to save time rather than picking up at our Edina location. And then we also started shipping to the surrounding 5 states outside of Minnesota. So these are a few of our customers who are picking up at our Edina location. We just really tried to make buying local convenient for our customers. Like I mentioned before, if you are new to direct marketing, it's probably been an adventure up to this point. Or if your business has been established for a long time, probably the same thing applies. We all learn as we go. And so no matter where you're at, your farm brand is already developed, or at least started. But we can always continue to change it and grow it, and that's something that I've definitely learned, that a farm's brand isn't just what your online presence looks like, but also just every interaction you have with a customer, whether that is on the phone or during a pickup, even as we're masked up now for ours, or, an email sent back and forth that is really quick and an easy question to answer. I think every connection is a chance to build a personal connection, and for us, help them see that they are supporting an actual family or a couple family farms, and to help them see what kind of sustainable practices we're using along the way. I think every chance, it's just a chance to build that personal connection and help them understand our why as we build trust, and help them see that our morals and our motivations match up with why they want to support us. The conscious customer wants to connect, right? All of us want to support businesses that we can connect with and that we believe in, and it's for so many different reasons, but I think to the core of it, at least for our customers, they want to know who we are, why we do what we do, and how we're growing their food, and they want us to be transparent. And so through every Instagram post, through every interaction like I talked about, trying to continue to build that trust is all part of our farm's brand and your farm's brand. And so as we begin talking about how you can develop that brand, where is your brand right now? What do those customers experience when they interact with you, when they interact with your social media, your website, your newsletters, all of the things? What does your brand say? And where do you want it to be? What are some of those maybe dashes in that arrow that you can add to your action list by the end of our 10 or so more minutes together, that you can help get it to where you want it to be? It's a big question, but definitely an important one to think about as you continue to build your brand. I thought I'd share a little bit about our brand and how we describe it, how we got to where we are, all of those things. So for us, our website screenshot is on the top left-hand side. We wanted it to be really clean. We wanted it to be really straightforward and honest. And so you see a lot of vibrant colors, and I would say when our customers interact with us, I want them to have a really wholehearted authentic, vibrant experience, knowing that they are getting really clean food, really healthy food that is raised in the best way possible, and that they are supporting a family who loves what they do and loves the customers that they get to feed and work hard to put food on their table. So that's the feeling we want to create when we look at our Instagram feed, like the screenshot on the right. I also just wanted to point out that in no way am I the expert on this topic. I'm sharing exactly what I've learned in the last few years of doing this, and a little bit of what I've learned in my marketing classes I took in college. But when we began about a year and a half ago, we did not have a huge social media presence, nor did we have a lot of people that were looking at our website, but it did help that we had that start base of customers that the previous owners had been selling to. But I think on Instagram we had about 90 or so followers and not too many on Facebook. So we have not really done any paid advertising or anything, but been able to grow that Instagram and Facebook as it shows on the bottom. I think Instagram, we're about 1,100 followers now. And so that shows the power of just being consistent and really building that brand like we're going to talk about. So how do you build your brand online? Like I said, you've already started to. No matter how few posts, maybe you have one post right now, maybe you have zero, you have already started just by the interactions that you have with people. But here's 3 ways, really practical ones, of how you can continue to build your brand and simplify it a little bit, because at least for me, it seemed a bit overwhelming when I first began. So the first one is the 3 E's. The 3 E's are entertainment, education, and e-commerce. So as we flip back to the previous slide, I just wanted to show you an example of how I use the 3 E's to kind of split up any of my content. So I'm going to use Instagram as an example, but I really post a lot of the same things on Facebook. And then I do the same thing for my newsletters as well, and blogs, wherever I post content. So for Instagram, I use the 3 E's to determine what kind of content I'm posting so that I'm not constantly just asking for the sale, right? We want to make sure that we're doing more than just saying, please buy from my business, but instead helping to build that connection and trust with our brand. So let's go through a few examples of maybe these entertainment. So entertainment could be just showing recipes or how we use our product. So the first few of those posts could be those. Also just one of that cow, I'm not sure if you can tell, but she has some pretty crazy hair going on, so I just made a little joke about her crazy hair day and what she was eating there as she's eating those corn stalks. Education, those might also be a recipe one, or the one with the piglets I talked about, how they're raised on pasture. Maybe the sunflower one, talking about how our cattle graze all throughout the winter so we don't have to have as large of an environmental impact. And then e-commerce, lastly, might be that whole chicken, the customer with the box that you saw previously that was kind of a customer testimonial with a direct call to action. Here's how you shop our website. So I try to do equal amounts of each one of the 3 E's. So about 2/3 those educational, entertainment type posts, newsletters, blogs, and then 1/3 directly asking for that sale or e-commerce. I'll touch on this more in a moment, but this really helps me plan ahead and be able to save time, because I know as farmers we have a lot more to do than just market our business, right? But it is such an important part of growing our brand, and I've really learned that. So when we can do this well, but also save time, I think it's a win-win for all of us. I know you've probably heard it before, but consistency is also key on all channels. And this can look different for anyone or for everyone, but I would encourage you to just choose to commit to a certain time frame. And I'll share what those are for us, but you have to make it realistic for you as well. For us, we try to post on all of our social media channels. Facebook and Instagram are the ones we're active on daily. Sometimes it doesn't happen on the weekends, and that's okay, but try to do about 5 posts on each channel per week, and then 1 newsletter per week, as well as about a blog every other week. If our newsletter is more focused on like an educational one, I'll use that as a blog. You may have just heard me say that and say, Valerie, absolutely no way I have time for all of that. Well, let me help you see how that can be realistic while still working on the farm. Or, if you have another part-time or full-time job, this can still be accomplished. So what kind of automation can you use to save time? Number 1, and probably the thing I tell new farmers that I talk to the most, is to get an onboarding series for your email newsletters. I should back up a step and say, if you don't have email newsletter, that's the first thing you should actually do, because that is the best way to get a sale and to connect with your customers. On social media, you can't always guarantee that people are going to see every post you do, but when you look at email, you can guarantee it's always going to show up in their inbox. So if you're at events or on social media, use those channels to start building an email list. And once you do that, set up some onboarding emails that customers will automatically get. And if you don't know how to do that, ask your barn to door manager, because they helped me as well. And so essentially what an onboarding series means is that they automatically start getting an email and then get them so many times after, whatever you choose to set up, and introduces you to your farm. So for ours, we introduce kind of our dream behind the business and how we want our customers to be part of the dream of our farm and our business selling directly to customers. Then we talk them through in the next email what it would look like if they were to drive right into our farm and see all the sites. And then lastly, we talk about how you can order from our business. So you can kind of see me using the 3 E's there as well. In the last one, more directly asking for that sale and giving them a little discount in order to do so. The other thing that really helps me save time is making a plan for social media instead of doing 1 post per day. So at least for me, it takes me a little bit to kind of get into the rhythm of writing out posts. And so at the beginning of the week, I try to create an email. For each post, I just do, a little post, and then I attach the photo I'm going to use. And I plan those out by using the 3 E's to determine what those posts are going to be about. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything by saying you can save time and, it's not all that difficult, because it does. It takes time, it takes commitment and dedication. But what I can tell you is that building a brand truly does make a difference. And there have definitely been times where I get tired of having posts where only a few people like it and nobody comments, even though I ask them for interaction, right? But there have been times where I'm like, wow, this is really working. And I can see our brand alive and well, and customers really loving building this connection and trust with us. And one of the times, probably the most I felt that, is with a customer named Linda. Linda was one of the first people that bought our pastured chickens last year when we first started raising them. And I guess she had been really following along with every post I made about it. So I had been doing some actual Instagram posts on the feed, but I had been doing a lot of stories the whole way through, from getting our chickens all the way to bringing them to the butcher. So here's some screenshots of what I had shared about our chickens. Those are when we moved them out onto pasture, and talked about the process of getting them out there and starting them on grass and everything. And then over on the right side is my husband and I talking about taking them to butcher and how we, loaded them up at night to help them be less stressed, because that's when they're sleeping, and kind of that whole process. And so a few weeks after that, Linda came to our Edina location to pick up her chickens, and as I walked to her car and met her, which is how we do our pickups there, she automatically started asking me all these questions, like, how are you doing? Are you okay with your chickens being all gone? And are people liking them? just all of these questions asking me if I was sad, if I cried at all when I brought them. And so soon I started to realize that Linda had seriously, I think, followed along with every single one of those posts I had been making, and she just wanted to check on me and make sure that we were doing okay now that our chickens were in the freezer. And it was so sweet. She literally gave me a hug and kissed my face, which, probably wouldn't happen now. But Linda really was so connected to our story, and she felt like she was part of that group of chickens that we had been raising, and was so thankful that we had taken such good care of them, and was just worried that we weren't okay. So it was a really sweet moment, but also a moment that made me realize that each one of those numbers on the bottom there is an actual person who is really following along and listening and connecting with our story as I shared that. And so no matter if that number at the bottom of your Instagram or Facebook stories is 2 people or 600 some, each one of those people is connecting with you and with what you're sharing. So although it may not feel like you have a lot of feedback, or you might be questioning if it's worth building this brand, it is, because your brand is making a difference and it is connecting with people. So if it isn't obvious enough, people like Linda, customers who may not watch every one of your stories, but who watch a few of them here and there or like a few posts, they are paying attention. And while they may not see every single one, that's why it's so important to make your brand what you want it to be and show through in every post that you make. You may not have the perfect pictures or the perfect story or think that there's something unique about your business, but to you, that might be the case because you're living it every day. One time I shared a post about a day in the life of a farmer and went through what my husband does every day. And it was one of our most popular posts because I shared all the details, and it was boring to us, right? Because we live that every single day. It's like, not that we do the same thing, but close to it, right? And people absolutely loved it, hearing about how we cared for our livestock and our land and machinery and all of that. And so while you may not have something that seems fancy to you, your story is the reason that people are following along and connecting with you. So don't be afraid to share that. And while you may not consider yourself an expert in marketing, neither do I, but I do know that I can make a personal connection with somebody else. I can help them understand why I'm doing something and share my story. And that's exactly what we need to do when we are trying to make a difference with the brand that we have. So think back to that question. Where is your brand right now, and where do you want to take it? Jot down a few things that you can do right away just to begin developing your brand. And maybe not even begin, because all of us already have a brand. It's in every thing that we do. It's in every interaction we have with our customers. So where do you want to go with that brand? And what difference will you make? Because your story is already connecting with your customers. So what is that difference you want to make? And how can you continue to connect with those people who are supporting you and who want to connect with you? It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be all perfect and put together, but what it does have to do is tell your story and connect with others. And I believe anyone can do that. Thank you for spending the last few minutes with me learning a little bit more about how to develop your farm's brand. If you have questions or maybe just want some ideas, feel free to follow along with us on our website or social media pages. I would be so happy to help you if there's anything that you need or questions or comments you might have. Maybe you have ideas for me. I would love that too. So thanks so much for spending time with us. Hope you learned something and have a few action steps you can take from our time together.